Hello and welcome to EduCurious. Today's guest is Audra Correa, and she is a homeschool mom. Got lots of questions for her. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning.
So just to get us started, tell me a little bit about the day in the life of a homeschool family.
I try to get up before the kids because really, if I don't wake up early, then I don't have any time by myself. So try to get up before them, do some exercising, get breakfast going, preferably before they wake up because the first thing they always say is like, I'm hungry. What's for breakfast? So I try to be on top of that, but that doesn't happen very well. And then we just kind of get going. We start with our current events. So we watch like the news and do our Bible study, and we try to do our stuff all together. And then I kind of stagger because I'm only teaching 2 of my kids currently, but I try to stagger. So like Tallulah will do stuff that she can do on her own while I work with her brother Jarvis and vice versa. And then, hopefully we get finished without tears or yelling or, not taking all day. That's our goal, is to just kind of go through the day and enjoy it.
So you've got 2 much smaller children, and they are also at the home, which makes it very busy, very active. So tell me about your planning of how a day unfolds and what sort of lessons that you anticipate going throughout the week.
Well, for the younger 2, they kind of just do their own thing. I actually posted in my stories a couple days ago that I had some people asking me, what do they do while you're doing school? And it was just them making a giant mess in the living room. So that's what they do. They are self-entertained. Every morning, I will try to sit down and look at our lessons for the day. So I have you can't see it, it's just off camera, but I have like a Velcro strip on my wall because my son doesn't have access to the lesson plans on the computer yet. So I'll put his lessons that he has to get done like on the wall. And it's really helpful for him to have that visual list. It's helpful for me too. But then Tallulah, she has access to our lesson planning scheduling tool. And so she can look through and see what she has to do. She can look at the whole week. She can look at next week if she wants to, but she will just get going with that. And that's actually been super helpful if I can get started with our plan on the wall visually up there in front of everyone to see. It's just a nice, this is what we have to do. And when you're done, you get to rip that Velcro off the wall and put it away. And you're just seeing that list get smaller and smaller.
So I feel like your family is always learning. I've seen you out on a Sunday with a blanket while you're waiting for your students to sail, and that the smaller ones are always learning something. It's infused in every part of your life. So tell me about what it means to be a homeschool family and why it's so important and how much it has to offer for your children as they're growing up.
We're always learning, and we're always looking for the educational opportunity in pretty much everything we do, whether we're cooking at home, whether we're out and about, like going for a hike, sitting by the lake, just observing what's around us, talking about stuff, reading books. So it's kind of like this atmosphere of always learning, but try not to make it too much like school, like sitting down at the table. And there is definitely a time and place for that, for us to be sitting down at the table quiet while we're reading or studying something. It's just kind of trying to take every opportunity and seeing it as a way to learn and grow, not just intellectually, but spiritually, physically, emotionally, socially, all of that.
Tell me about some of the outside of the home opportunities that you plug your kids into to develop them socially.
So we do the sailing. We are always looking for different opportunities, and cheap or free is great. But Tallulah's in dance. Our youngest started dance, which we kind of broke our family rule of we're going to wait until they're 5 to get into stuff. But we were like, she's going to be so stinking cute up there dancing. So we broke that rule this year. But the boys are in jujitsu. They do that with their dad, actually. And he really loves that. So he takes them to that. And there's music opportunities. There's a local church that offers a great music program, and they've had that since, I guess, but it was before my oldest was born. So she's been going to the music program there since she was an infant. So Fern and Leo also, they're doing that, and it's for all ages. It's really fun. That, especially for the young kids, is a great place to make other friends as a mom and for the little ones to have friends. I haven't done it so much with the two youngest because of the responsibilities that we have with the older two, but we used to go to the library events that they would have. There's so many things. It's almost, there's the hardest part, I think, is sometimes saying no to the opportunities that we have because there's so much that you can do. And I think that's maybe what's different between like our generation and the generation that was homeschooling before us, is homeschooling is so widespread now that businesses and organizations will have specific classes for homeschoolers during the school day that probably wasn't so widely available when our parents and aunts and uncles and stuff were schooling. So the social opportunities are definitely there. And here in Central Florida, we have theme parks galore. So, taking them to just be around a bunch of people.
Tell me about your homeschool community, how you support each other, how you help with curriculum mapping, picking curriculum, possibly swapping it. Like, tell me about that structure as a homeschool mom, a parent, the facilitator of this learning.
Community is probably the most important thing I would say you need as a homeschool parent, because finding out about different curriculums, finding about different activities, finding out about different programs, different is kind of learn, and also having this person or these people that you can go to be like, today was really hard and I yelled at my kids and I feel awful, and they'll be like, you know what, I yelled at my kids too. It's okay. Like, we're their kids, we're humans. Like, it's not going to be picture perfect. It's never picture perfect. So having a real life community versus like an Instagram community or something is so important, because with social media, all you really see is the highlight reel, and it's a beautiful setup. Like, the kids are sitting peacefully at the table, and they're so excited to learn. They're so excited to do math and grammar, but that's not reality. Like, kids really don't. I think most kids don't really enjoy having to sit and learn something. So like, having other people that you can talk to share like your frustrations and your failures and your successes is just, I think that's probably the most important thing you can have as a homeschooler. And the curriculum stuff, that's going to kind of flow naturally from those relationships. But I don't really have you'll also learn that everyone's doing something different. It's not one size fits all, and something might work great for one family and it does not work well for your family. And you just learn that that's okay. Like, it's just the way it is.
What are your check-ins like with the accountability aspect for being a homeschooler? What do you have to do at the end of a school year or the beginning of school year to make sure that you are touching base with the state and all of the regulations for that part?
Okay. So in Florida, Florida is extremely homeschool friendly. So it's very easy in Florida. And there's a great website to go to find out all of the information and the legalities and stuff of homeschooling in Florida. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to send a letter of intent to the county, to the school board. And that letter of intent just says, I am homeschooling my kids. I'm homeschooling this child, because you don't have to do if they're school age, you will send in this letter, says, I'm homeschooling my children. And it's basically indefinitely. You don't have to send it every year, just from the first year that you start homeschooling. So you send that letter of intent. And if you are registered as a homeschooler, then at the end of the year, before the anniversary of that letter of intent, you have to send in a letter by a certified teacher, and they'll do an evaluation. So you'll probably keep some or all of your kids' work for that year, and you'll meet up with this certified teacher. There's a lot of homeschool parents who were teachers in the past and they've kept up their certification. So you don't really have to look too hard to find someone that can do this, but they'll look through their work. They'll say they actually learned this year. You didn't just pull them out and like watch TV all year, but they learned. And I've seen progress, like from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year to the end of the year, they progressed. And so, yeah, great job. Good job, Mom. And so they sign that and you send that to the school board, and then that's it. I mean, it's super easy for that. There's options for umbrella schools, but I think with an umbrella school, you don't have to do the evaluation. And then, of course, now we have the scholarship, the Step Up Scholarship for homeschoolers, the PEP scholarship. So for that, you have to apply, you have to set up a learning plan, which sounds really like big and scary, but it's not. It's just a few like multiple choice questions. So that's, it's not intimidating at all. So you're going to set up a learning plan for each student that's using the scholarship. And then at the end of the year, they do have to do a standardized test, I guess would be the way to describe it. But you have multiple options for that as well.
Are you administering the test at your home, or are you taking the students to a testing facility?
The test that we're doing is administered at home on the computer. So they will answer questions, and then how successfully they answer that question. The next question will be either slightly more difficult or slightly easier. So I think the general idea is that at the end of the test, you'll say like, hey, your kid is like, they were spectacular in reading. They might need a little more focus on math. It's very like individual, low pressure. They even have options for non-readers. So like whatever the script is on the question, the computer can read it out loud. So if they need some help with the question, and that is the test that we have selected.
It's really great for you because you can see where you want to focus on in the upcoming school year.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your school growing up and how you decided to become a homeschooler.
I went to a private school from kindergarten to 8th grade, and then my school didn't have anything past 8th grade. So I went to a public school for high school. And I honestly, like, I didn't have a bad experience or anything. That wasn't why I chose to homeschool. I did have family who homeschooled, and because of that, there were a lot of homeschoolers that I knew. How we became a homeschool family was when my oldest was, I might have even been pregnant with her. It might have been before she was born, but someone had mentioned, hey, if you want to get her into this preschool, you should probably go ahead and register her now. And I'm like, what? So I never registered her. I was a little too laid back at that point in my life. I've had to change a little bit as we've progressed through schooling to not be quite so laid back. But I was like, oh no, it'll be fine. And it was just kind of this thought of like, I'm not ready to send her to school. She was like not even born yet, or an infant. So it wasn't like I was putting her in school right then, but I already had this feeling of like, oh, I want to like keep her, I want to keep her with me. We didn't put her in preschool. And then when it came time to enroll for like kindergarten and all of that, I was like, I don't know. I just don't want her to be gone. Like, I still want her to be with us. And that's pretty much what it was. That's what decided it for us, was like, no, we just want her to stay with us, and we can do the schooling. I had a community who had homeschooled before and was currently homeschooling. So I wasn't going in completely blind. And it kind of felt natural. It was a very easy, natural choice for us. So that's just what we did. And I've always looked at it as like, we're going to take it a year at a time. If it doesn't work, we can always enroll in school next year. And it's kind of what it became. But more recently, I've not even considered that. Like, it's not been a thought of like, oh, well, we'll just see how this year goes. It's become more of just this lifestyle of like, this is what we do. So I really look forward to like, oh, this is what we get to do next year. Getting the books and everything like that is, it's exciting. So it's turned into something that I genuinely love to do.
Where do you go to get these books and resources and information for your school year?
Well, the curriculum that we use provides all of that, and it's great. So it's the Alveary by the Charlotte Mason Institute. So we use the Alveary, and I learned of it. We didn't start out with the Alveary. I started out broke doing this. So it was basically like, hey, I have this workbook you can have. I have this you can have. So I was kind of piecing it together, and that did not work well for me. So I feel like I was talking with someone the other day, and she's like, yeah, your first kid is kind of like your first pancake. I was like, oh my gosh, how the first pancake is just, it's a little messy. It's, it's delicious. It's still good, but doesn't quite look as good as the rest of them. Like the other ones, you figured out the system, you figured out the temperature and all of that. So she's my first pancake. So for the first year or two of her schooling, it was very sporadic. It was very like, here we have this workbook for math, but I don't really know how to teach you the math, like besides just doing it with you. So when I learned of the Alveary, it was a Charlotte Mason curriculum, and I had heard of Charlotte Mason education, like her philosophy, and I thought it just sounded beautiful. I was really drawn to it, but it also seemed very overwhelming. And anyone who's familiar with anything about Charlotte Mason will probably understand that it just seems very overwhelming. You're like, this sounds great, but I have no idea how to do this. They're like leading you through it, kind of holding your hand. So you don't have to be a Charlotte Mason expert to be able to teach in that way and do school in the way that she does it. So they provide lesson plans, they provide book lists, they provide videos. So like for our music lessons, they'll have links to YouTube videos or to someone actually instructing you on how to learn these different songs. So it's almost an open and go curriculum to where you can open up the planning. Like we have the online planning tool, which has been great, but we can see what we need to do for the day. We can see what we're doing for the entire year. I have ordered almost all of our books for this next year, and our supplies, they give you links to the supplies that you might need for like science experiments. So it's just all there in this wonderful, beautiful package. And they have a community, an online community as well that I don't fully take advantage of, but I know it can be super helpful. I have used it for answering questions or getting inspiration on how to implement different things.
Can you sort of summarize what her philosophy encompasses?
It's a holistic learning style. So you're teaching like the whole child. It's not just intellectual, it's spiritual, physical, emotional, all of these things. So it's like looking at the child as a whole person. You're not just working on their brain. I think what really drew me was the nature study, studying, spending time in nature, observing, taking your time with it, because that's one of the best ways to learn about something, is just to kind of sit with it and watch it and see what you notice. And I would almost say it's student led, in a sense. So I might point to like a tree and be like, okay, well, tell me what you see. And they, in a perfect day, I'm not saying this is how our lessons go or our days go, but in a perfect day, I would be like, hey, what do you notice on that tree? And they might say, I notice the leaves, I notice it's big. Well, let's get a little bit closer and see what we notice. And as we take time, we spend time in nature, we learn to appreciate it. And growing up in Florida, I did not appreciate Florida until I was an adult and actually spent more time like in the nature of Florida. So now I'm like, man, Florida's pretty cool. Like it's different from a lot of places, but it's not just this flat, dry, hot place. There's beauty. You can find beauty even here in the ridge on the scrub. It's especially interesting when you come to this part of the state. It's very literature heavy, lots of living books. And we read a passage and then the kids narrate it back to me. So I say, tell me what we just read. And that kind of helps me know what they picked up on, lets me know what caught their interest. So they'll narrate back to me what they read. Sometimes they'll do written narrations or do a picture of what they read. It's really interesting because when they can narrate it back to you, when they tell it back to you, it's actually helping them learn the information and absorb the information more. Even if it's not exactly what you read to them, it's still like they're creating this relationship with the lesson and with these people or places or things that they've learned about. So trying to think, I didn't write this down, but yeah, the nature study, the holistic learning, narration, habits, forming habits.
Focusing on the whole child and the holistic approach to learning and the authentic learning. It's not just, hey, I'm going to learn XYZ. It's, I'm going to immerse myself in it and notice the things that kind of call to me a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So as your kids get a little bit older, what is your plan for developing their interest, their calling, career exposure type things?
We with this curriculum, they're exposed to such a wide variety of things that could turn into careers. We're just gonna do our work and see where she starts to develop more significant or more obvious strengths. And then as they get into the high school levels, there is a bit more choice that they have. When it comes to the sciences, they can choose 4 or 5 different types of sciences that they can choose from. As we get older, I'm hoping it will become more clear.
So with you, as you graduated high school, what was your outlook on life and what were your next steps?
By the time I graduated high school, I knew I didn't want to go to college right away. I was over school. I was burnt out. I was like, I've been here for 13 years. I don't want to go straight into more school. And my parents very much supported that. They're like, hey, well, we will pay for your schooling, but not when you're 18. If you want to go to college at 18 or 19 right after graduating, you can, but like you're going to have to you're going to have to do a scholarship or pay your way. We will start covering the cost of your schooling when you're like 21. Because they basically were like, you might not know what you want to do. We don't want to pay for you for years while you're just like, you may want to do this now, but then in 2 or 3 years, you're going to be like, never mind, I want to do something different. So they really gave us space and time to figure that out. So when I graduated, I went on a student trip to Australia and New Zealand and ended up falling in love with New Zealand. So I was like, I'm going to find out how I can move here. So a year after I graduated, I moved to New Zealand and I was on the working holiday visa. And so I had a visa that was good for a year. I didn't have to have a job when I got there, but I could get a job when I was there to support my holiday. And that's actually where I ended up meeting my husband. And I came home. I love to travel. So I became a flight attendant. My whole family was in aviation. I tried becoming a pilot, but it just wasn't for me. So I may still, it's kind of a bucket list thing. Yeah, it would be nice to like get my pilot's license, but it's not something that I'm like, I need to do this right now. It wasn't a career thing for me, but I loved being a flight attendant until I had Tallulah. And then I cried for days when I went back to work. So I worked for a month and I was like, no, this isn't for me. Not right now, at least. It's interesting though, when I was in high school, I was really interested in the sciences. So I did this pageant in high school. And they're like, what do you want to go to college for? And I said meteorology, marine biology, and there was a third ology. I can't remember what it was, but I find it really interesting that now I'm teaching my kids and we are learning marine biology. We're learning meteorology. So in a way, I'm still kind of getting to do what I wanted to do in high school. I just don't get paid for it.
Tell me about your travels, what you picked up along the way, and how you infused that into your kids' lives and how you exposed them to the world beyond the scrublands of Central Florida.
So my dad was a commercial airline pilot, so I got to travel a lot when I was younger and then into my adult life as well. And then when I was a flight attendant, I didn't fly international routes. I just worked in the States. And my husband's from Brazil. So we've been to Brazil a couple of times. We've gone on road trips. We have a pop-up camper. So we like take that with us and have set up usually going between here and there. I would love to do more international travel with them. But like right now, we're learning about cathedrals. We're learning about ancient history. So we're doing cathedrals and castles and like the Near East. So, Mesopotamia and stuff like that. And it's inspired me. I'm like, I want to go. I want to see these places. I want to go look at these cathedrals. And eventually, like one day we'll be able to do that. But that is something I would love to do more of. We've been reading about Jamestown and early colonists coming to the States. And so I'm like, well, that's a little bit more like we could go there. We have a ton of culture in the States as well that we get to go experience. And that's been really fun. And we have friends that like to travel too. So we are planning trips with friends, and which is always more exciting for the kids. I love traveling with my friends too. But if their friends are going, it's like gonna be the best day, the best trip. When we go on trips, I have definitely like packed a box with our books and all of that. And it's like, hey, if we're driving for 9 hours, we might as well be productive and work through our lessons some. But I've had to kind of find this balance between being not necessarily spontaneous, but like being consistent while also enjoying the freedom that we have as homeschoolers. This is our first year that we're actually going to like finish our school for this year at the end of May. We've never had like a summer break, but that's something that is like really important to me this year, that it's like, no, we're going to have a summer break. Like we're going to go on trips and not bring our books. We're going to just enjoy our time together, enjoy some downtime. Obviously still learning because the world is a classroom, but not being so studious about it, I guess. And so that has limited our free time, or our time that we could take to go places and do like field trips and stuff like that. So it's kind of it's a challenge right now, and that's something that is actually like really something I'm working on, is trying to figure out how to have a bit more balance to where, yes, we're doing our lessons, we're finishing the books, we're checking off the list, but we're also able to like take some days off here and there, and it doesn't bog us down later. So I would almost say that the curriculum that we use, while it can be good for car schooling or traveling, it really depends on the family and what's most important to them. I know a family who this entire past year, they traveled all over the world. They were home for a few weeks. Maybe it was more than a few weeks. It seemed like they were gone all the time, but that was something that they really wanted to emphasize this past year. So they went to Europe, and then they came home and immediately started planning their next trip. And so like I would love to do that some year, but this is just not the year for that. This is not our season for that. And it's possible, but there's definitely like this balance that you have to find.
And that's hard. I feel like we're all doing that in some aspect, homeschool or not homeschool, just trying to find the balance of family and responsibilities. So, how would you describe your teaching philosophy separate from the curriculum philosophy, like just your style?
I like to get it done. So I love having a list to keep me focused, to keep us focused. I want my kids to love learning, because I kind of feel like maybe that was the one thing about my education that I don't regret, obviously, but it's one thing that I'm like, okay, if I could have control over this and how I thought, I wish I would have loved learning when I was younger. They don't understand how interesting this stuff is. Like what they're learning is really interesting. It's really cool, but they don't have the life experience behind them to understand that what they're learning and how they're learning it is just really neat and fun. And I just find it like, I love it. I love learning alongside them. I am learning alongside them a lot of times. Like I didn't go to school to be a teacher. I don't have like a degree in any type of field. So I am a lot of times learning right there with them, like, oh, wow, that was interesting. I didn't know that. Or, oh, wow, this makes so much more sense now. It's something that I knew, but it makes so much more sense now. Or that's why we do it that's why this is the way it is. We're doing government and constitution stuff right now. So I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I knew this, but now I really know it. And they are like, okay. But I'm like, no, it's really cool. It's really interesting. Like, this is amazing. So I want to be excited, and I'm hoping that like my enthusiasm will rub off on them. I want them to love learning. I want them to not look at it as something tedious. I mean, it's going to be tedious. We all have to do things that we don't necessarily love, but we still have to do them. And that's something I say every week, probably multiple times a week. Like, yes, I know you don't love math. You still have to do math. Like, it's okay. Like, it's character building, to do things that we don't love. If we all did what we loved, then I don't think we'd be very productive. I'm trying to encourage the like love of learning, but I'm also kind of looking at the big picture. It might like at the end of the day, you know, maybe they'll appreciate it a little bit more when they're older. Hopefully they'll appreciate it when they're older. But yeah, so like just like passion. Some of my favorite teachers were really passionate about what they taught. Was never interested in that subject or whatever, but if the teacher loved it and was so excited about it, it like rubbed off, and I'm like, wow, that actually is really interesting. Like this was the best year of English I ever took because my teacher just loved English. And that was fun. It was contagious. That like joy and excitement was contagious. So I hope that that's what my kids will get from me, and any kids who like come into our home to do some lessons with us.
So what do you wish that you knew before you started your homeschooling adventure?
I had some mentors and some people who had done this before me that I could kind of like pick their brains a little bit, or it was just kind of offered up. I do think, and I learned this pretty early on through experience, but being able to start over, you know, like that's possible. If you're doing something, a bunch of people might have recommended this one particular thing, and so you're like, oh yeah, that's probably the best, so we're gonna do that one and it's gonna be great. And then maybe it's not so great. Maybe for you and your kid, it's like pulling teeth, you know, it's not fun, it's not engaging, you're miserable, they're miserable. Like it's okay to stop. You don't have to suffer through, like I'm speaking of a reading program personally. And so that reading program did not work for us. And so we stopped and found a different one. And that one has been great. If it doesn't work for her, then we'll just have to find something else, you know? And it's okay. So like that's okay to take all of this advice that people are giving you and be like, okay, well that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for us. Just push it to the side, and like there will be something else. There are so many resources out there. It's almost too much information that it can be overwhelming, but there are plenty of resources that you can take advantage of that maybe you've never even heard of, but they're out there. And so starting over is good. And also like learning is not linear. It's not always linear. When it comes to homeschooling, you're going to have like ups and downs. You're going to have like circling back around to start over. You're going to have like this curriculum works great for us now, but at some point maybe it won't work well for us, and we'll have to switch it up, or we'll choose to switch it up, and that's fine. That's normal. It's what people do. And I think the last thing would be, every day is not going to be picture perfect. Most days are not going to be picture perfect. Your patience is going to be tested. There might be tears. There might be just like defeat, this feeling of defeat. There's going to be wonderful days. There's going to be days where it all clicks, and there's tears, but they're like happy tears. Usually not from the kids, it's from me. But there's like the happy tears and the sad tears and the angry tears, and there's the overwhelm, and then there's the peace, and there's the like, this feels right. And it's just, I think you kind of know that when you're a parent. You figure that out when you're a parent. So now just add teaching and learning and all that into the mix, and it's the same. Just because you're sitting down at your dining room table or on the couch doesn't mean that it's going to be like magical. It can be magical, but most days are not magical, and you're not like doing anything wrong because they're not like this wonderful, peaceful, you know, flowers and rainbows and puppies and all of that, you know?
Thanks for being real. We need to hear that more because we have some crazy expectations. Do you have any other advice to give to someone who's maybe considering homeschooling?
If they're considering it, you don't have to rush into it. There's a lot of advice given that, like, especially if you're coming from a traditional school environment, like take a year or a half a year off they call it deschooling, but it's like take some time to like figure out your family's flow, like figure out what you're interested in. Like I had years really to kind of figure out what I wanted, what learning style I liked, how I wanted to approach it. But a lot of people nowadays, they don't have the years to research and read all these books about the different learning styles and teaching philosophies. So like just like give yourself some time. Don't feel the pressure to dive right in if that's going to be too much. Find a community of other homeschoolers that can kind of be like your shoulder to lean on or to cry on, or, they can give advice. They've got, even if they don't have older kids, if you have a community, you've got years worth of experience within, a handful of people. So yeah, I think just finding a good community, taking your time, lowering your expectations for a little bit. We were talking about the expectations, and I don't know, just like give yourself a break. Like don't be so hard on yourself, because it's hard. It's hard. I think everyone knows that. Teaching is hard no matter who you're teaching. Your kids are going to be, because they love you, that they love you, they know that you love them, and that might mean that they're going to be not as well behaved as they might be with other people. Give yourself grace there to be okay with hard days. Don't be scared to ask questions. I'm still asking questions. I'm still Googling, what is this philosophy that I really like? I don't really know what it is. So I'm going to Google and find out what it is, or read a book. And sometimes not even knowing what questions to ask can be hard. Not saying like, this is what I'm looking for, but how do I find this thing that I'm looking for, this ideal that I'm looking for? So
Yes.
figuring out figuring out what you want to ask can be hard too.
Kind of like AI prompting. I don't even know how to phrase the question that I want to know about, that I don't know I know. I appreciate you spending time with us. It's been wonderful. So whether you're a teacher, a parent, a homeschool mom, or just EduCurious, join the community as we explore various educational topics and learn from each other. We'll see you next time.